Group of Viltrumites surrounded a lone general. Soon, Thrag the Regent and leader of the Viltrum Empire landed ahead of the rest of his kin, cementing his dominance, raising a smoking crater underneath his feet with a shock wave that settled the ego of his fellow Viltrum. He looked up to face his adversary outnumbered.
It was unwise to separate from your coalition fleet, General. There is a reason why your dragon kin fled to Earth.
Inyalga, a former resident of Earth, not entirely human, but a descendant of a mythical race of dragons that have migrated ages past. His parents the mix of a dragon and a human, a prodigy of talent and strength even amongst his apex kind. He once dreamed of being an explorer, fighter, and adventurer, eventually leaving Earth wanting to be unshackled by their safety and seclusion from society, from the universe, hoping to find wonders. But along their many ventures through space and even time to some extent, the beauty of the universe was constantly impeded and ruined by the ever-constant presence of the Viltrumite occupation. His naive worldview was replaced with brutal reality as he returned to his sanctuary on Earth where his fellow dragons slumber and rest. Disappointed on the truth despite the warnings given by his elders before leaving of the horrors he may find, he found himself at odds with the knowledge of the Viltrumites and their evil goal to subjugate all life. Though much different than the dragons of old, valuing life and compassion over combat and passion, and their adopting of some human philosophies, especially from his own mother. His draconic heritage, the feral instinct to surpass all threats, the need to challenge their own place and those of stature, burned restless by the disposition of the Viltrumites being the apex force in existence. By no means were the dragons who first migrated to the pocket realm of Avalon on Earth inferior to the Viltrumites, but they were outmatched by the superior numbers of the Darwinist race in the past, leaving a scar of fear at a second genocide by their hands. Despite Inyalga's insistence that the Viltrum race and members were not as much as they once were, his kind who wanted to fight did not have the heart to, and thus he trained his magical self. He honed his talents, his one-of-a-kind strength, and amongst his people not letting anything go to waste. Leaving his home once again, encouraging his kind that if they did not want to leave, they should train as well and prepare, so that when he lights up the skies of Earth with the golden flames of his power in defense to the threat of Viltrum, they will know that hope for the dragon's honor is not lost, and like with Merlin and earthly knights of old, they can join the fight and redeem the lives of the universe, freeing them from the curse of ignorance and arrogance propagated by the ruthless Viltrumites. On his many paths to progress and power, he confronted at the time known as Omni-Man, Nolan Grayson, a secret Viltrum agent posing as a hero of Earth, preying on its unsuspecting nature. He defeated him and converted him to a more calm and reasonable outlook on the cosmos, disregarding their disregard for lesser life as infantile and foolish. Along with Mark Grayson, Invincible, Alan the Alien, and Thetis the Betrayer, trust and camaraderie was born by helping liberate worlds under Viltrumite subjugation. Conviction rooted in his teachings of balance and life, encouraged by his instinct to challenge, he surprised the powerful warrior and strongest bounty hunter Battle Beast with the news that the once fabled rival race of his own, the Celestial Dragons, still existed on Earth. His respect and allegiance was soon too earned after an intense one-on-one confrontation, and eventually Inyalga was granted a major role in the coalition of planets' leading army. He would become one of its many few generals and mighty men to lead many into battle for freedom amongst the stars. Here among a war front spanning 5 star systems, Thrag the Viltrum leader and his faction of warriors leave a planet's surface decimated, a whole planet of inhabitants that tried to rise up against the Viltrumites in their darkest hour, shamelessly killed by their oppressors. Their screams of fury and fight muted by the explosions of the space battle above stretching across their entire solar system. Five Viltrumites surround Inyalga as he crashes to the surface below, motionless in rage and pain, lamenting at the sacrifice of the people of this planet. He holds two severed heads in his hands, and behind him in space, visible from the surface, two cruiser starships destroyed as he rammed through to reach the ground below. Still in his human visage, Thrag almost hastily rushes his men to attack, until he recognizes the face of his opponent as none other.
You were the one who helped Earth and the coalition of planets defeat us before.
He crosses his arms, his gaze narrowing.
It was unwise to separate from your fleet. It's a shame your dragonkin could not be educated on the logic behind Viltrum's methodology. You would have made a quintessential ally on the correction of our universe. No matter. I'm glad to see you were able to grow from prior confrontation with my forces at the very least. Being defeated by Viltrum's very regent should be an honor, much more than a fleeting power like your own deserves.
Thrag is not one to express his emotions around enemies, but his respect bleeds into his tactical mind. His pleasantries allowing his men to move into more advantageous positions before the battle begins. However, his focus and stoic nature is broken as he notices something. Two heads of some of his most strongest soldiers in the hands of the half-breed.
Conquest. Krieg. I see.
And for the first time since landing in Hell does Inyalga speak.
It's a shame strength does not remember where his once came from. The dirt, the womb we all are defenseless from. You speak of education, and the right to rule. No. I will teach you the pain you have forgotten that you inflict onto others. And once you understand that, you will have my permission to die.
Despite his calm tone, his face shows otherwise of the fury that was recorded by those who encountered him on the battlefield. And with his declaration of vengeance, the ground rumbles in the presence of his power, his draconic blood firing up. Thrag notices the general become more manic, and he is left unsure if he should follow through with his assault now or later, wondering if he underestimated his foe and has entrapped himself. A feeling of fear foreign for many years, resurfacing in his mind like an itch.
You have. You've grown more powerful than I thought possible.
Is your said then done?
Thrag glances towards the space battle and then back down to gauge the environment. Many of his men weary just like him. To take down Conquest in his human form alone would merit a power that rivals his own. Yet despite a certain factor of fear, his Viltrum drive to grow stronger by all means fills Thrag with excitement at the challenge. He is filled with a purpose to prove his worth and reason right against the one whose race left the battlefield long ago. However, his renewed vigor won't go unchallenged. His assertion to withstay his initial assault proved correct, as Inyalga revealed his true draconic visage in an explosion of plasma that would singe even the strongest of them all. There will be no easy victory here. The fight is now.